Alright, at the theater Inside Out 2, here we come! Yeah, so we finally got into the theater. We got the VIP seats too. It's pretty dope. Actually, first time doing this, so yeah. Meanwhile, heck yeah. I'm gonna see how this is. Heard nothing but good reviews.
If you want a daily dose of exclusive content, movie reviews, and fresh...
Well, hello everyone! I am Dash101 and welcome guys to a new video of The Dash Review. Yes, we have done one of these, but a very long time, and thought it would be great to bring it back. Since normally I do the occasional movie review and stuff, I thought it was very important to bring all of you guys here to actually discuss this one, and obviously spoiler free. That is definitely an important one. Let the internet do that, fine, go right ahead, but we're not going to do it here for you all, because I want you guys, whether you've seen it or not yet, to enjoy this. I think it's very beneficial that we do a review on it instead of just a normal typical movie review, because normally when we do those, it's just a collab of different people or a person. We go see the movie and then give our final thoughts, and it's all quick and just rapid, and we don't get enough time to process it. This is perfect because we actually can discuss things and in full as much as we can possible, and then kind of elaborate more onto it. But if you have not seen the title, we are going to be taking a look at Inside Out 2. Yes, the most anticipated sequel in my point of view, and probably to a decent amount of people who have seen the original, which 2015. That is almost a decade away. Or it is a decade. Almost. What? I remember going to see that movie, and you know, obviously, I was little. A lot of us probably were when we had seen Inside Out, and I wanted to go see it because it seemed very interesting. In the mind of somebody, just kind of dealing with their emotions inside their head, what they're thinking, how they basically control the human mind, and it was just a very interesting idea, something that was original. And mostly Pixar films tend to be like that. This one, though, was different. In a good way. In a very good way. And when I went to go see that, it connected to me in ways unimaginable. I thought, oh hey, you know, this is gonna be a nice movie. It's gonna be kind of interesting. Sure, it's gonna have some sad scenes because it's not a Pixar movie without those. And yeah, it's gonna be an awesome movie. Walked out of there, and I think it was one of the most relatable things ever. This one didn't disappoint either. And honestly, I think it was even more relatable than the first one. So let's talk about it. So yes, I'm going to be including the first movie in this review as it's important to a sequel film, but obviously the most important thing is it will be spoiler free, so none of you have to worry if you haven't seen this movie yet to not click away or anything. Please stay with us because I want to tell my tale of the movie and my side, but obviously kind of give you guys what would be expected in a way, but into a point where it's still fun and it's like, wow, this is like going in blind. So yeah, bear with me. It's going to be kind of talked about, and we're going to kind of summarize the first movie, kind of going into the second, and so on and so forth. 2015. Crazy year. It happened so many, even before the channel was even a thought. And when I went to go see that, there will be probably spoilers for an almost decade-year-old movie, so my apologies. If you haven't seen Inside Out, I don't know why you'd be watching this one. Go click away. watch Inside Out first before you see this review of the second movie. But I went to go see Inside Out, and I was with my mom, and it was a experience that was unlike any other. And I went into it, and I remember that seeing these different emotions, cannot speak, which was joy, sadness, anger, disgust, fear. They were very relatable, very, very awesome, you know, characters that you could think of when you see them. You're like, oh, hey, that's one of the emotions and stuff. And seeing that Riley, who it was based around, her emotions and how she felt in different scenarios, it was very interesting because they pulled at, oh, hey, you know, growing up, it's definitely going to have some challenges, but at the same time, you gotta figure out ways to deal with them. Riley, in this case, she went into, you know, obviously life as we all did, and then, you know, she made friends, she made a lot of different memories in her previous state, and then it was like all taken away. And she seen that her house was basically going up for sale, and they moved to Minnesota, which was their new state. And it was like, okay, sounds about right, I'd be pretty disappointed too. And then it got more into, you know, how she basically was very unsettled. It seemed like every step that they tried to do with this new move just got worse and worse. And I mean, I don't know about you, but like, I would be the same way as well, you know, especially if my stuff was not here at the house and I couldn't do anything, couldn't set up or do anything like that. But she always made something out of it, and that's kind of what, in her parents' eyes, was their bundle of joy, which was really, really sweet. And then obviously she gets going on forth and so on, and joy and sadness kind of clash heads a little bit, and that ends up being a huge problem because they ended up getting sucked out of headquarters and lost into the back of the mine pretty much. And what an adventure with both of them. They met a old imaginary friend that Riley had played with for many years and was basically a complete forgotten thought at that point, and eventually he ends up meeting his demise. And that scene still to this day is pretty sad. And I think too, especially when Riley is only basically controlled at that point by disgust, anger, and fear, it doesn't really go well. And it shows that her parents kind of notice this change and stuff like that, and eventually it ties into her being very upset at what the current situation is, that she is unfamiliar with her territory, which obviously a lot of us would be. And, you know, wrapping up the movie, you know, they all realize, hey, every single emotion counts, and, you know, that's what makes Riley Riley. And it's a very wholesome moment, and I remember that, yeah, I had the waterworks a little bit for it. I didn't actually, like, fully, like, cry or anything, but it still was like, damn, okay. And the second one does not disappoint. So, going into the second one, I know, now we're talking about it. Sorry, I had to wrap the first one into going the second one, but there are very similarities to the first one that are mentioned in the second one, which, you know, is expected, but they do it in a way where it's more kind of like not repeating itself. It's more so kind of bringing in, hey, you know, we've had these hardships, and let's kind of bounce off those ideas. But in every way, it seems like it takes a different route. And guys, when I went to go see this, and obviously we're introduced into 4 new emotions, technically 5, but I'm not going to say it, and that is anxiety, which she's a really big one. Then we have, oh my gosh, embarrassment, which I think embarrassment is probably one of my favorite new emotions, as well as anxiety. We also have envy, and envy's very interesting, and ennui, which ennui is, I don't know, is that French, guys? Like, I'm probably gonna get so many comments being like, that is not French, it sounds French, so I'm just gonna say that.
And what? Ennui. It's what you would call the boredom.
But ennui is basically the emotion for kind of boredom. And something very interesting, okay, a lot of us are there, we get that. Definitely anxiety is a relatable one, which I think is the fan favorite, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so I was like, okay, yeah, she's definitely grown up, and the other emotions obviously are very aware of this too, but everything's moving really quickly. And eventually we get into some more basically familiar territory, and you know, there's obviously a takeover. And that takeover basically makes all 5 of the original emotions kind of basically try to seek out the true Riley, which ends up being kind of a big part of this movie. Now that Riley is, I believe, 14 in this movie, she is doing a lot more different stuff than what she did before. She's still very passionate, that's the one. She's very passionate about her goal into hockey, which is her favorite sport, and it ends up becoming a big thing, especially in this one. So she wants to fulfill that, and she, with her friends, it's basically a huge thing for them. When eventually it becomes something that she needs to basically feel like she needs to up her game on. And that ends up creating some interesting ties into this film. And it ends up basically becoming Riley in a whole different way. Just an instant change. Everything. It's like a switch. And, you know, obviously, to a certain point, yeah, you know, there's gonna be a lot of these changes, and the other emotions aren't too happy about it. But they realize, in some way, shape, or form, this was bound to happen, so might as well make the best of it. It doesn't go right, and so they have to band together. And basically, of Riley, who Riley is, they need to seek this out before it ends up becoming a really bad situation. And eventually that leads up to a kind of really bad scenario to where the other emotions, as I said, they band together, and they may or may not get trapped in a familiar object. Well, I had to, I'm sorry. So we'll say the emotions kind of get bottled up, and that becomes a huge problem because now they are not where they're supposed to be. With that being said, they must band together and go through basically kind of similar to how the first movie was. Now, going forward, we do meet some familiar faces, and this ends up being really helpful for the other emotions, and they start realizing a bit more that there was always a control with either one of them. And especially Joy being the main character, I would say, in all throughout the emotions, and that's the one that Riley depends on the most, it ends up being very, very, very hard watching it because you see that Joy is starting to understand more and more that each emotion represents her. Kind of how she did with sadness, it ends up going on a widespread. And it's a very, very, very realistic and sort of true feeling, because seeing that all come into play, and that ends up kind of putting Riley into a hard place, which it actually put me on the edge of my seat, I should say. It ended up showing that, you know, it takes each and every emotion to basically band together to make this girl who she is, but in a way to where they aren't the ones in control. It's her. And I just thought that was really, really sweet. Again, I am trying my best not to spoil anything, but you guys will totally understand what I mean if you've watched it. And I think it was just one of the most touching things ever I have seen in an animated film. Now, with that, eventually all those hardships and stuff sort of kind of come together, and there's some realization between each one of the emotions, and that ends up creating something just beautiful. And in a way that they basically accept the situation and accept, obviously, Riley herself. She's beautiful in every way, shape, and form. And I think that's a lesson that is, or should be, taken away from this film, because I think a lot of people, especially today's standards, are too hard on themselves. And with me, when I was little, I always read people's emotions and hardships in a completely different way. And sometimes I didn't know if they were actually happy or they were just having a mental breakdown. It was a very interesting time. Obviously, 23 years later, I am a lot better at reading those. And it's still kind of hard today. I think this movie kind of opened more of that awareness to people, which I think was great. They did it to a point where it was nice and it wasn't too, too broad, or it felt repetitive. It was just the right amount, like chef's kiss, great. It was perfect. I thought it was just something that was brought up in the best way possible, and seriously, kudos to all the people who have worked on it. I've actually seen some people online who have worked on the film, and just seeing the ideas and concepts of what they were originally going to do is awesome. I've always been like that, but it's really nice to see. And please, if you're wondering, should I go see this movie? I kind of already said that in the beginning, but absolutely 100% yes. Go see it in theaters. This movie is not one to pass by. It's actually a really heartfelt, just if not a little bit more enjoyable than the first one. Take my word for it. And not only that, it has blown the box office completely out of the water. And I can see why. Hits every area. When it needs to be sad, it's sad. When it's exciting or it's making you on the edge of your seat, like just holding on for dear life, it does that. And I think that is the most amazing thing ever. And I did not want to get up from my chair. Even though I did, it was really, really, really just good all around. Just amazing. So yes, guys, go see Inside Out 2 if you're wondering. I'm sure you guys got already that in, but I wanted to share my side of what I experienced with the film, and I definitely want to go see it again, because there was a lot that I know I missed, especially some, behind the scenes and sort of inner workings inside the film, because Pixar loves to hide their Easter eggs, and I know this film is definitely not one to disappoint. Now, I want to hear from you guys. First, who's your favorite emotion? Is it still one of the originals or is it a newer one? I would love to hear it down in the comments below. Also, the other thing is, have you seen the movie? If you have, let me know and try to keep it spoiler free, guys. I know it's really hard to, but please do. Just to be respectful and courteous to all the people who have not seen the new film. Yeah, I appreciate you guys and thank you for just staying awesome. Inside Out 2 has definitely been a roller coaster of emotions. Haha, yeah, I'm sorry. But it was a phenomenal film and I definitely highly recommend you guys go see it if you haven't already. With that being said, if you want more of these awesome reviews, because I know this has been a first one in a while, the Dash Review will be back for another amazing film, and I want to hear from you guys. Those questions, please link them down in the comments below, and please leave a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe, guys, and make sure you click that notifications bell so you don't miss an upload just like this. Gameplays, because we're definitely doing more of those, going strong with those. React videos, vlogs, craft videos, any of the sort is up for you and you guys to decide. With that being said, that's all I really got for this one, but thank you guys so much for watching this review of Inside Out 2. Take it easy, and stay safe, and as always, I gotta dash, stay 20% cooler, and this is Dashy101 signing off from this Dash-tastic review. Peace out.